He always kept a note in his wallet that read, "Better to delay than cause disaster." But on this fateful day, shortly after his passenger plane took off, they encountered a flock of birds. The engines were damaged and lost power. Worse still, both engines were compromised. The plane began to shake violently, though at first, the captain didn't know the exact status of the engines. He only felt them slowing down. What followed was a masterclass in piloting. He first tried the ignition, but the engines gave no response. When the cabin lost power, the captain didn't hesitate for a second. He activated the auxiliary power unit, restoring electricity. The flight attendants instructed passengers to fasten their seatbelts, reassuring them it was just turbulence. Following the captain's guidance, the co-pilot pulled out the quick reference handbook, searching for solutions to a dual engine failure. Sully contacted the tower to explain the situation and request assistance. The tower ordered all flights grounded to help Flight 1549 return to the airport, but Sully knew they might have to ditch in the river. There was another airport nearby on their right, but at their current altitude, they had no room for maneuver. The tower wanted them to attempt landing at the nearest airport, but Sully's 42 years of flying experience told him their only option was to land on the Hudson River. After he made this decision, the tower lost 1549's radar signal. Air Traffic Control Capte Caline. Sully's nearest airport was at their 2 o'clock position, just 7 miles away. He knew water landings had less than a 1% success rate, but the radar still couldn't detect Flight 1549. The plane continued losing altitude. Passengers panicked, praying for a safe landing. In what might be their final moments, some used their last precious seconds to tell loved ones, "I love you." Sully calmly maneuvered the plane, adjusting the angle for water entry. 50, 30, 20. And just like that, they touched down on the Hudson River. The plane remained intact. Sully had executed a perfect water landing. Only a flight attendant suffered minor leg injuries. He quickly left the cockpit, directing passengers to evacuate in an orderly fashion. The co-pilot was still in shock. Despite his own injuries, Sully immediately focused on passenger evacuation. The front door opened, deploying the emergency slide. Exit doors were opened, and passengers gathered on the wings. The Coast Guard spotted them and immediately called for backup. Air rescue teams deployed rapidly. Passengers were systematically evacuated, with flight attendants being the last to leave the cabin. The guard maneuvered precisely alongside the wing, rescuing the stranded passengers. We almost forget this was a plane crash, a water landing with less than 1% chance of success. Behind each of those lives saved were entire families and loved ones. Both rescue teams arrived in succession, picking up isolated passengers. Rescuers risked their own safety to check the increasingly flooded rear cabin, ensuring no one was left behind. Sully returned to the cockpit to retrieve important records before being the last person to jump onto the evacuation slide. With support from multiple agencies, the rescue operation was completed quickly, but even after reaching shore, Sully remained deeply concerned. He desperately wanted to know if all 155 people aboard the plane had been saved. However, with rescued passengers scattered among different teams, an immediate answer was impossible. Sully went to the hospital for examination. It was there that union representatives brought the good news. All 155 passengers on Flight 1549 had been rescued. The weight lifted from Sully's shoulders. Outside, the news spread like wildfire. Sully became a hero. Yet what awaited him wasn't celebration, but intense scrutiny from the National Transportation Safety Board.